Hello! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Feed Me Pixels channel. I'm your host, Larry, the most, exploringest space chupacabra man here today, and we're going to be starting a new adventure in the game Astroneer, which is currently in its pre-alpha stages, out on early access, and this is a game made by the company called System Era, which is... I suppose the best way to describe it is it's your standard planetary exploration and survival game, but it has been distilled down to its most quintessential elements, which means that I don't have a hunger bar. That's one of the best things in a survival game that I've seen in a while, and we're gonna just go to this planet and start exploring. So when we get started in this game, we have a couple different astronauts that we have to choose from. We can have like your standard NASA astronaut, a skinny little blue accented astronaut, a very large astronaut, or a tall astronaut. I think let's go try some NASA style space exploration. And we start off at this handy little space station that I guess drops off space colonists. And we're just going to pop down to a randomly generated location here on this planet, and that's it. We just have to wander around the planet and build stuff and try not to suffocate. That's basically the name of the game. So we can kind of wander out into the wilds over here, explore the low poly vegetation. Most of this stuff is all procedurally generated, and when we find something useful or something valuable like this hydrazine, we can pull out our little terrain tool, which can suction all of this stuff up, and it can also put some of it back if we don't want the terrain to look like something from Minecraft, where we like chop the tops off of trees and leave the rest of it just kind of hanging out in space with nothing attached to it. And then once we've got some stuff, we can come back here to our little pod, which is our, sort of like our habitation pod, and recharge our, well, first our oxygen, which is what this little blue tether is, and then also, if we open up our backpack, we can also slowly, via its own volition, we can slowly recharge our energy. Unfortunately, at present, I don't really have a use for this, this hydrazine, so I'll just slot this into our ship. This can later be used to fuel some of our fancy machines, but what I really need is this astronaut ice cream Dippin' Dots looking stuff over here. This is called compound. It's one of two primary building materials in the game. There's compound that kind of looks like that Dippin' Dots ice cream, and then there's this stuff that kind of looks like beeswax honeycomb. That's called resin. But first, like, the one that we need the most of is going to be compound, and this is what's going to allow us to use our built-in 3D printer down here at the bottom. This is our sort of manufacturing tab, if you will. And this allows us to build, like, batteries, some tethers to extend our oxygen tubing, and also some starting energy production in the form of a handy-dandy solar panel, of which I will make a couple of these, one for myself and one to use on our pod here. And by default, they'll hook up to our little slots here on the corners of our backpack, which, if we die, we will respawn with whatever we hook up to those side slots. But what I want to do is I actually want to unhook one of these because they're not that great. And I'm going to attach it to our pod because, for example, if we're underground and we have our oxygen tether hooked up, it'll be able to deliver us oxygen and electricity over the extended tether system. Fortunately, because we made these little solar panel devices, well, it's getting dark, and as you know, solar panels don't really do the thing at nighttime. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to convert some of this compound material into some tethers. And if you see over there in the distance, there is something yellow that looks an awful lot like energy. And I'm gonna go suck that stuff up and keep some of it in my backpack. Let's see here. Here we go. place a couple of tethers. And this is what's nice about this tool, too, is if I don't want to, like, constantly walk around the side of stuff, I can actually just create my own land bridge out of the rock to keep myself from having to walk the long way around. Let's see here, I'll put some of these tethers over our little bridge. And essentially what this stuff over here is one of the things you can get, and this is actually, I think, true to real-life planetary exploration, is some materials that you would normally have to get in its chemical form and then break down to use, like, say, oxygen put into, like, a tank so that you can breathe it. Sometimes it comes in crystalline form, and in this case, we have some crystalline power that we can suck up that's a lot more efficient than getting power from the environment, or from the sun, or the wind, or anything. Unfortunately, there is a limit to how much you can get of it in the environment. You know, it's an inexhaustible resource, so you have to be careful when and where you decide to touch it. But this means that we're going to be able to just suck up all of that compound material over there, and I'll just deposit it back at our base, so that we don't have to constantly be going back and forth to harvest it. You might have also noticed that there's a blue, like, rock formation over there that I can also suck up. That is crystalline oxygen, which is another thing that you can run into out in planetary exploration. I think Pluto has something like that on it. And this is just like having a portable oxygen tank. So now, instead of putting those expensive tethers everywhere, I can just roam about the wilderness wild and free like a crazy person. And, okay, here we go. So this is like some randomly generated forest material here. And inside some of the plants are these weird, like, mineral bulbs that grow. You can find these in plants, under plants, in different rock formations. And this is going to allow us to research different things to expand our base. It's kind of like Metroid rules, if you ever played Metroid Prime or anything. In those games, the mercenary Samus Aran, she can get new powers and stuff by sucking up the genetic code of other plants and animals, and it's kind of a similar concept here, just with weird tumors that grow on plants. So let's see, I thought I saw more compound over here. Yep, that's exactly what I saw. I want lots of this, we're gonna need plenty of it. And I also need to secure some source of the material known as resin, because that's going to allow us to expand our base to some extent, and that we definitely want to do. And I'm going to start putting some tethers off in this direction. Now that's, that's one of the things that I've really enjoyed about this game so far, is it's almost like Looney Tunes, like, rules when it comes to how you survive, because in, like, Looney Tunes or really old-school cartoon shows, you could just get, like, your garden hose, hold that to, like, a rock, string it out behind you, and you can go visit the bottom of the ocean by just sucking oxygen through that. Very similar idea when it comes to, staying alive here. We've got these oxygen cables, and they're going to keep us alive, and then occasionally when you come back to base, it's a good idea to save the game. But the good news is, despite being in very early alpha stages, this game is very stable. So I've not really had a lot of reason to be concerned about my saves at all. So I'm just gonna sit here for a sec and expand my tethers. And I think I see way off in the distance the telltale bluish tinge of a resin deposit. So we're just gonna head off into that direction and see if that's true. There's a whole boatload of materials in this game, so it's always a good idea to keep track of where all of them are spawning. So here we go, here's a little patch of resin. It kind of looks like a little coral bed of, like, what do they call that majigger? A barrier reef or some such. I'll suck up all of this stuff. And this is going to allow us to build onto our base. Because that little life pod that we landed in, it kind of looks like part of the moon lander or like the Apollo capsule from the moon missions. That is not movable anymore once you place it down and it's designated as your home. So you basically just use this as a center to build off of via these little, kind of like robot nips. And you put some resin inside of these, and it builds out these little consoles. And these consoles can either be used to store stuff, like I can put my hydrazine and my solar node here. Or if let me just build another one and go get some more. I can also use this to build different types of machines that can then give us the ability to build buildings, to build like cars and rockets, and to also build better tools that will generate more electricity for us, so that we're not just kind of barely staying alive out in the woods. That's basically the overall goal here. Let's see. This resin deposit almost completely depleted. And I will say that having played this quite a bit on my own channel, and just on the side because I really enjoy this game, I can say that there is quite a bit of variety for plants and environments in this game, and also quite a few planets depending on the solar system that you start out in. So you won't like run out of stuff or interesting variety, even in the alpha stages. And the environments do tend to look and behave like you would imagine a proper ecosystem. Although there's no real, like, animals, just different types of plants for the moment. But that's more than I can really say of games like No Man's Sky, which looks like it has a lot of environment, but it really doesn't. So we're just gonna suck all this up, and as you see, there's like these little lines of yellow coming towards my character as my base attempts to recharge my portable battery. So that's part of why I wanted to make sure that we had a solar panel at the base, because when we're underground, there's obviously no sunlight and probably no wind. So the only way that we have to generate electricity is either via tether or happening upon free energy in the dirt, essentially. Let's see here. I'm going to pop down a couple of these resins, and this is just going to create a crafting table for us. So this is going to allow us to create things like a 3D printer after we get access to copper. It's going to allow us to create a research station, a smelter, which we just need some compound for, and this is what we'll need to make all of our metals, or a vehicle bay, which will allow us to build all of our crazy machines. First, we probably want to get a research thing that is going to let us scan our giant tumor rock and do stuff with it. So before we do that, let's actually expand out this node again, since I've got extra resin. There's not really anything else I need it for. And we'll use this to... Actually, is there something else I need resin for? There might be. Tank, a generator needs copper, compound for a beacon. No, I don't think I need resin for anything else just yet, so we'll just use this to build another table. And this will probably turn into, like, our forge. Shboop. Perfect. And then this I'll want to be our smelter. This I need compound, and that needs compound. Good news is we've got lots of tethers to go flipping everywhere. Which is an interesting direction to go to. You know, I'm almost a little disappointed in this playthrough that there aren't a bunch of really cool trees, but there are other planets that we can go to, so I'm not too worried. We'll eventually get there in pretty quick order now that I know what I'm doing in this game. So let's suck up what's left of this node of compound. There we go. The good news is there's usually a lot of some of these materials, and they can go quite deep into the ground. In fact, you can actually go all the way down into some intricate cave systems. So, much like Minecraft, be careful about digging straight down into the dirt, because you can end up falling to your death very easily. It's not a big deal dying in this game, but it is sort of annoying to have to run back and pillage your own corpse after you've been basically revivified and cloned by the computer in your ship. At least that's my headcanon for what happens to you. It's hard to say whether or not that's true. Because, you know, this game is in pretty early access. It looks like there's some more compound over here. So, pretty much everything in this game, especially whether or not there will be any giant storyline in it, which I honestly don't think it needs it, because it's pretty sweet already. And you're just kind of roaming around as a crazy space person, pillaging a planet and using all of its goodies to build, like, a colony. I'd almost say, like, you're a space frontiersman or, like, a capitalist trying to make a living by pillaging random alien planets for their goodies. So let's see here. I want to get the rest of this stuff over here. So I have 3 right now. You can carry, like, 4 extra ones here and then 1 in your crafting slot. So you can actually stretch out your inventory a little bit. And later, once we get vehicles, like we can get, like, a cool rover, then we'll be able to... Whoa, okay, I guess that stuff just went below the dirt. Yeah, that's something that can happen in this game. That's the only bug that I've really encountered is if you run into objects funny, or you get stuck in an object, you can very often fall beneath the ground, and then your character ends up suffocating to death somewhere clipped under the terrain. Let's see, let's build this puppy. Slap some compound in here. And so far, like, one thing I've really liked about this game is everything is modular, so I can slot different machines in right here and over here, and then I can also, like, pick those up with all their stuff still attached to them and slap them into, like, this thing over here. So in fact, I'm gonna slap this hydrazine over there, and let's actually build another solar panel. And while that's building, because I don't need to leave my crafting screen open, I can slap these into here and start building our research module. And I'm gonna slap the solar thing that we just made, if it wants to behave itself, right here. And our spare power, actually, I can put right here. And this we can actually use early on, because these solar machines kind of suck, to power some of our different machines. Let's see here. I want to suck up a bunch more power, and there's like a whole bed of it over here. So let's go grab some of that. Sucky, sucky. Me sucky, sucky long term. And the good news about these nodes, too, is like this node is... It's kind of like a spawn node, or like a siphon point is what I've been referring to them as. But there's no official name for them since this game is so fresh and new. But those things will respawn with more energy, so I'm not too worried about exhausting that one in particular right now. It's just that it often takes a while for them to recharge, so you gotta be careful not to burn through all your energy doing something stupid when you might need more of it later. So let's see, there's a little bit more over here, kind of floating around like magical gold cornflake nuggets. In fact, these almost remind me of a cereal that I used to eat as a kid. It was one of those healthy cereals after I started developing really bad allergies that I could eat without much trouble before I got treated for all that stuff. Like little puff cornflake cereal. Now, the good news is, in the event that one of these machines has more than enough energy, they will actually evenly distribute the energy from different power sources along this conduit network. So the blue represents oxygen moving from, you know, machine to machine, so I always have access to an oxygen tether, and then the sides represent the power being redistributed through the system. So if I put this thing in the research module, first we'll see what we get from it. So it's gonna scan the device and then open it up. And inside, this is a research, like, sphere. Sometimes it's research, but... So we just got a fuel condenser, which is handy. That converts energy into that hydrazine fuel. But, the other thing is, once you've researched a certain type of object, like, you know, I went to this little plant over here and got the little goodie from it. Once you've researched that type of object enough, you'll basically run out of whatever that is, and it'll start giving you raw materials that you can use, so that you didn't completely waste all that energy for nothing. And that's kind of handy, I think. So I'll just slap this power over here, since I don't really need all of it. And then later I'll be able to further expand my storage capabilities by building a 3D printer. Unfortunately, I don't really have the materials for that yet, so I'm gonna need to go underground. Yeah. Basically, I have to find raw smeltable ore and slap it in this puppy, and then that will give me what I need. So I think that's where I'll call it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining me, Larry the Chupacabra here at the Feed Me Pixels channel. We're gonna be playing the ever-loving pants off of Astroneer because I find it to be a whole flippin' load of good fun. It's a very relaxing game, and while it is like a steep $20 price tag for people, while it is in a pre-alpha stage, this game is already way more playable than 90% of the games that you're liable to run into on early access. So don't be afraid to give it a try, especially if you can find it on a sale sometime in the future. I mean, we just had the Christmas sale, and it really wasn't on much sale there. But in the future, I'm sure there will be plenty of opportunities to get your hands on it for a discounted rate, so I really encourage you to do that. And until next time, I've been Larry. Don't forget to like and subscribe here to the Feed Me Pixels channel. Check us out, our wonderful live streamers, over at twitch.tv/feedmepixelslive. I think our streamer Uncle Brickle, or Unbreakable, has been playing some more Astroneer over on the live streaming channel. And don't forget to check out our great writing team over at feedmepixels.com. So until next time, bye everybody, and have a good one.